Yo, what's good everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing something quite different, never done that before. But I thought, you know what, how about we, take a step back and actually talk about like all the decks that we've gotten and the decks that are going to be coming to the TCG as well. And just like, what I think is going to be like, the meta when like we get like the Magnificent Monsters and then Beyond the Brave, and then even further than that. Like some of these decks are actually quite further into the future. Even some, as you can see, like that have just been announced in OCG and have not even come out in the OCG. And I thought this is not like to say like, oh, this is gonna be the meta. No, it's more so like talking about like the potential of each of these decks rather than a proper meta tier list. Because again, like I don't play TCG competitively like with cards, so I wouldn't, this would not be my forte. But my forte is like potential of these decks, right? So this is what we'll be talking about. I have made these 5 tiers. So we have like best deck, tier 1 potential versus rogue. So this is like a deck that I think, with some pushes, like more support, they can actually be much better. Then we have just straight up bad decks, and then mean decks that are just probably unplayable. So yeah, and I also have this pulled up, and this is by the way going to be for TCG, not OCG. And this is actually quite good because you can also at the same time talk about like the current top decks in the TCG. And yeah, this will be quite interesting. So let's start off here with Phantom Knights. So what's the deal with Phantom Knights? Let's just get rid of this bullshit. Phantom Knights actually did get support. So if we go Phantom Knights here, and then we go not released, they got this card, and they also got some other cards, I think. Which one was it? It was these cards. So they got like the Decayed Cloak, they got the Doom Solarette, and then there's, I think, more as well. There's a trap card that they got as well. But yeah, like ultimately, I think this deck actually has not been performing that well. And I thought it wouldn't. I used to play Phantom Knights, so I do actually like the deck for sure. But it's not one of these decks that I want to revisit because I know they will not be that good. Although this is me talking about like a pure Phantom Knight build. You can actually slap this deck into some other stuff to make it a lot better. And I think if you want to play this deck, that's probably the route you're gonna have to take with this deck. And then if you do that, I think this deck would actually have potential. But ultimately, the deck is super slow because this deck can play around Joel, but it plays bad into Full Loss. And that's like very bad because Full Loss is like one of the best cards. Guess what else it plays bad into? Also plays not that well into Parolia because a lot of these cards, even not just the newer cards, like even like the old ones, like the Sound Boot Summon from the hand, and that's not really that great. Now, you can eat Ash with this deck, you can eat Veilers, but it's not like Ash and Veilers, whatever. People, like, there are much stronger hand traps now, like Harmonia and stuff. Harmonia is very good against this deck, unfortunately. And like these double interruptions, shuffling back one of their Exceeding into the deck, like this one, or the new one as well, they can really hurt. Now, the way this deck would win, I would think, is just the Floodgate, because they can actually summon this and then go to like Ophion, lock you out, and they can summon some cool stuff to actually stop you. I say cool, but like most of them are Floodgates that they're winning with. So I don't think they would be doing much else to be able to win. Like these, they allow for some cool plays, but the deck just doesn't do enough. Like when I used to play this, I think in Master Duel, they actually used to rely on Rongo. The deck itself was decent. Some people didn't even play Rongo, but most players played Rongo. If you don't know what Rongo is like a auto win card, basically. It says you cannot play the game. Look at this. You make this with 5 mats, and it says you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. Your opponent cannot normal or special summon, and it's also unaffected by everything. It cannot be destroyed by battle. And it has 3k attack. So this was just like, you can't beat this, basically. You just win on the spot. Now, if we actually go to like OCG decks right here, let's see if there's any Phantom Knights. I think this was like the most recent one. So this was events held between July and August 2nd. Okay. Oh, there's one Phantom Knight player. Just one. So he got like third to fourth place, and this is the deck he was playing. And the cool thing is, yes, you can play Impulse in this deck, but even playing Impulse is not enough for this deck, because this deck I don't think will be enough. In TCG, we do have Double Droll, we don't have Max C, so that's actually huge for the TCG, because although we don't have Max C, we still have Full Loss, so it's still gonna keep this deck in check. But this, I would think, would be the biggest killer for this deck in the OCG. Without Max C, would this deck be able to perform better? I think yes. But would it be enough to beat top decks like Cool Toon, Chaos? No. Like, Chaos just shreds this deck to pieces. How are you outing unaffected monsters with this deck? You can't, right? You need, like, I don't know, you need, like, basically a non-engine to get rid of them. And the way that you can just easily put up, like, these unaffected monsters makes this deck just so bad into, like, Chaos. And then, like, Cool Toon also just destroys this deck. Yeah. So, this looks like a lot like the OG deck, minus, like, you know, these new cards, which do change the playstyle a bit. I wouldn't say they change it too much. But yeah, they're still kind of losing to the same cards, I feel like. They used to also play bad into Full Loss and so on. But now they have, like, more pushes, I feel like, and more ways to actually layer their interruptions. But that deck is still not good. Are they still playing, like, the Floodgate one from the back row? No, they don't. Okay. Yeah. I don't think this deck is gonna be that great, if I'm being honest. So would I put this in bad deck? I don't necessarily think it's a bad deck, but I think it's more so rogue rather than a bad. It's not a bad deck. I would say this is a rogue. So I will put this here, but it's not potential. It's just rogue. I'm not sure how to actually make, like, a new tier for this, but yeah. Then we have this archetype. So this is actually very interesting. So this, let's actually open a new tab with this. This is the, where is it? The new Raise Moon cards. Okay. This deck, I actually think, is very insanely good. This is not just on paper. I actually tried the deck out, and I will post the video soon. This deck does so much with the draws. Like, the draws are super ridiculous. It's basically a gamble deck where you just keep drawing infinite cards. It's like tier limits in that sense, where you just gamble, but you mill with tier limits. This doesn't mill, it actually draws, which I think actually might be better, because you're also drawing into, like, non-engine and hand traps and all of that, which tier limits cannot do, right? So, with this deck, what you basically want to do is draw an infinite number of cards, and then you can put up this boss monster, which is unaffected. And then this card has a huge floodgate. Anytime your opponent wants to add a card, you make them draw a card instead. This actually fucked up so many of my opponents. It's ridiculous. It's just a free win against some decks. And this is one of the, if not the best hand trap in the game. Like, this is a reverse Droll and Lockbird. Anytime your opponent adds a card, you get to draw a card. And on top of this, you can also use this to draw one. You can use each once per turn. And then it has, like, one of the biggest locks ever, which is, like, during the duel you activate this card, you cannot add any cards. Now this deck, some of these cards actually lock you into level 7s, which actually weaken the potential of this deck. But this deck is still insane. I don't think it really needs that, and if you get Joeled or something, there are actually still ways to play around Joels, mainly because of the trap card, and then you also, like, have, like, hand traps. If you build your deck correctly, you can still play around it, and you can play on the opponent's turn instead because of the this card. So you can draw cards and then still play on the opponent's turn and just floodgate them with this. So even though Joel is very good against this deck, I don't think it's a killer against this deck, like some other decks, like Toons and stuff. But there's one thing that kills this deck, sometimes. It's the fact that this actually can miss timing because of these one effects, and I think this is the biggest weakness of the deck. So because of this, I think, like, it makes the deck weaker when you're starting to, like, chain, you want to play around stuff. It's a bit hard when you keep having to worry about this getting, you know, missing the timing. I will talk about more about, like, how this works, but the missing timing and, like, some other stuff when I actually make the video for this deck. So this is not, like, the video for it. But I think this deck would actually be very good. I was playing a lot against, like, Chaos and, like, these top decks like Sky Strikers and so on, and this deck was just absolutely destroying. I think Chaos is better than this deck if it's played by a good player. Like, if I was playing against this deck, and I'm obviously, like, a Chaos player, right? I know everything about Chaos. I would destroy this deck because I know like how this deck plays. I've played it and I also know my own deck, right? I can definitely destroy this deck unless like I draw really bad. But this deck can really catch you off guard with this. So that would be the only thing I would worry about. Aside from this, like I can definitely destroy this deck with Chaos, but some other decks have a really hard time. So if I'm being honest, after trying, like I don't really like decks like this, to be honest, like Xyz decks and so on. But I have to give credit where it's due. Like this deck is way leagues above like the other decks that were printed in this pack with the deck build pack or whatever. I think it was Senate and Xenovaders. They're both nothing compared to this deck. I think this deck would actually have tier 1 potential. And I'm not even kidding. You guys might not see the vision, but trust me, guys. When I tell you I think a deck is gonna have like tier 1 potential, I mean it. I said this about Chaos and people called me crazy and they said you're overhyping the deck too much. And there were only like a select few who still like, used to watch the Chaos videos that I posted because they actually believed that I was, being serious. And look at this now, okay? This is what happened to the meta when it came to the TCG. Chaos Ritual, Mitsurugi Chaos, Azamina Chaos, just Chaos everywhere. Chaos is like the best deck probably, because if you count like all of these, which are all Chaos variants, they're more than Kultun, right? And you can say Kultun is better, that's fine. I think Chaos is just the best deck ever. So again, that's just like one of the things I said, and I definitely meant when I said this was going to be like top tier and best deck, and it was. And I think this has tier 1 potential. I'm not saying it's going to be the best deck. I'm saying it has the potential to be the best deck when we figure out how to properly utilize the cards and deck build it properly, and to see if they actually print more cards that can help this deck out as well. Just like a couple of cards, I don't think this deck needs that many. But yeah, super insane. Like this deck is very, very high potential, I would say. Then we have Blitzclick. So Blitzclick is very powerful. Now, why did I include Blitzclick if like it's not an upcoming deck, it's already a deck that exists? It's mainly because there are actually more supports coming to Blitzclick, I want to say. It's really just like one spell card, but I think it still makes a difference to talk about like the deck itself and how it's performing. It's this one, the Overvoltage. Does this make a huge difference for the deck? I don't think so. I think it makes the deck slightly better, but it's not good enough still to be like the best deck. But this deck is still very good. So if we see how Blitzclick is performing, is Blitzclick here? Yes, it's right there. There's, I think, 2 players playing it at the moment. Yep, so if we look at this, this is in the TCG. This is how they're playing it. And this is exactly how like they were playing it in the OCG as well. I don't think there are any differences much, except like Max C and so on. Like these differences within the ban list. The deck plays well into stuff like Full Loss because it doesn't actually give any draws for Full Loss. It plays, I wouldn't say bad into Prolia, but it doesn't play the best into Prolia. And I say this because the opponent can just pass and then just do nothing, and then they can start activating these on your turn as well. So it's not that they have to commit if you Prolia them, but if you Prolia on your turn and they have to activate these so they don't get OTK'd, that will make Prolia very good. So yeah, and then there are a lot of things that this deck actually plays around. Things like Ogre usually doesn't do that well against them. I think Ash Blossom can be decent sometimes, but they can actually chain block it if they manage to put up multiple monsters at once and start like to chain block it with like the other effects and put the weakest one on top, which is going to be like dumping. I think there was one that dumps to the grave. And the cool thing about this deck as well is that you can play lots of board breakers and you can go second to this deck, because this actually essentially is a go in second deck. Most people play like that. And this will be buffed by other cards. Now, I did mention Overvoltage, but this is the Arctag card. There are other cards that are going to be buffing this, and one of them being Gallant Thief. So Gallant Thief will be like a very powerful addition to this deck, mainly because of the fact it's summoning from the hand. So you're not going to be like restricted with like the other stuff. And the other thing is it's a negate as well. And it's going to tribute your opponent's unaffected monsters. This is exactly what this deck needs, right? Instead of playing Lava Golem. So I think, yeah, they do actually play Lava Golem here. You can play both in the side deck. I wouldn't necessarily like add both of them. I think Gallant would be better for this deck, because sometimes you actually do need to normal summon these cards. But Gallant also uses up your normal summon. It's just the fact that this gives the card to your opponent, right? The Gallant will be on your field, so you can easily OTK. It's a 3k monster, and it's also going to be a negate for something if they have a hand trap as well. So Blitzclick, very good, I think. I'm actually not sure how it's performing in the OCG at the moment, but I would think it would be very good. I don't see why it would fall off. So if you take a look here, Blitzclick is... Oh, it's not even in here. That's insane. Yeah, wow. I don't know why it's not here. Maybe people got bored of the deck, but I don't think the deck is bad. Just because it's not here does not mean the deck is necessarily bad. Sometimes, like, you don't... like, the current meta is not good enough for a deck, so people drop it, and then they come back to it after. And this does also happen with, like, Lunalight and stuff. So this deck is still good, and I think, like, post, like, these cards, this will be still a decent deck. I think it has potential. More than Pantanites, 100%. I think this is way better than Pantanites. Yeah, I'm not sure what they really could give this deck to make it, you know, I guess like top 5 decks, because the way the style this deck plays in, it requires specific cards to make it good. And the problem with this deck usually is going first. Yeah, the deck, and you need more ways to pop cards on turn 0 to make, like, these live on turn 0. This is, I think, the issue with the deck. The Crackle doesn't resolve, then, like, you know, you can't pop and turn on the Whiska on turn 0, and it's kind of hard to actually trigger the effects to add with, like, the pops and stuff sometimes. So, yeah. I would say high potential for this. Not as high as this, but still high potential. Then we have Xenovators. So, what do I think about Xenovators? Now, some people pointed out that I was playing Xenovators incorrectly, and they said, oh, the way you should play it is actually 40. I don't know how you're decking out, and so on. I said in the video that I played 40. That 40 build was a pure deck that I played, and it was very bad because not only it's not that I was just decking out, it's that the fact that this deck doesn't do anything. It's a cool concept that you get to banish everything face down, plays a lot like around a lot of fan traps, but it doesn't do enough. Okay, this is at the moment, so I'm not gonna say this deck is necessarily bad right now, because there's definitely potential for this deck, and if they give it more cards, better cards, to make this deck not lose to itself, and like fix these weaknesses within the deck, I think this deck actually has the potential to be tier 1. I 100% believe that, like, genuinely, but at the moment, I think it's very ass because there are so many missing pieces within the deck. One of the main missing pieces is this. How the fuck do you get this? If you play 40 cards, this is impossible to get, okay? Even if you don't deck out, okay? Now, people are saying, oh, you can shuffle back your own cards. I know that. I know this can shuffle back your cards, and I know this can shuffle back your cards so you don't deck out. But once you do, this is not enough. You need to summon these cards to stop your opponent from killing you, and they will kill you, right? The only thing stopping them from killing you is this trap, which can be very easily outed once they get rid of this. So you need to have this on the field, and you need to have this. This is not always going to be available to you because you need to play this, which is kind of a brick to play, and if you go in second, like, you're going to get fucked over. And the thing about this card right here is, although this right here is once per turn on each attribute, there's a big problem with this. It's targets. So if they dodge, actually you lose out on the target itself. So that's number A, weakness. Number B, I don't know why I'm saying number. B is the fact that you get locked out of everything with this deck. You cannot, where's the locks? They're right here. You have this huge lock where it says you cannot activate anything except Xenovator cards. You can somewhat have some wiggle room to play around this a bit, but it turns off your hand traps, turns off your board breakers, turns off everything, and it can be very, very bad. Because this deck does not have any board breaking potential. Well, not any, but it doesn't have good board breaking potential. What cards are you using to break the opponent's boards? Are you using this? 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 None of them break any boards. This needs setup. This is not just going to be live immediately. This right here is like the only card that can out, but guess what? They locked it behind an attribute. So these, because they require specific attributes to actually be usable, makes it a lot worse when it already has a huge lock, right? So I think the state of this deck is in a very bad spot. I love the cards, they're really cool, but and the concept to banish face down is also very cool. But they made these cards incorrectly. I think they made them in a way where they just can't function properly for their intended purpose, right? And that's what makes this deck quite weak, in my opinion. but does have the potential to be one of the best decks if, you know, we get more cards to support this deck. Now, do I think this is one of these cards where, like, oh, it's slept on at the moment, but, like, people have to figure out how to play this deck, then it's going to be insane? No, I don't think this is the problem. I think the problem is that the deck just doesn't do enough on its own, and there are huge gaps within, like, the strategy of this deck. So I would put this over here. I do want to put this here, even though I said tier 1 potential, but at the moment, it can never achieve tier 1, only in the future. Once we get a lot of more cards. So I'm not saying like 2 cards, 3 cards. No, I'm saying like it needs like 5 cards. And it doesn't have to necessarily be engine. It can be non-engine, but something that is not gonna fuck you over with this, right? So maybe like if you can banish everything face down, then add one of the cards to your hand, and then like something. Okay, the deck needs something. Because at the moment it's just not enough. Then we have the Senate card. So I actually have tested Senate. I wouldn't say I tested it as much as like the Xenovaders and the what do you call it, the Raise Moon cards, but Senate is one of these cards. Let me actually just pull up like the thing where it shows the actual cards, so we can go over all of them real quick. The Senate like archetype, I feel like, has a huge flaw in its strategy, and it's the fact that it doesn't really function well on its own. You need another engine. It feels like it's just an engine. When I played it, at least, that's how it felt, and it felt like there was huge gaps. These are quite cool, but guess what? You have to play normal monsters, which make this deck a lot trickier, and you have to play at least 2, because, well, you can play 1, but it's gonna make the deck a lot weaker. So you need to play at least 2, in my opinion, and because you're playing these normal monsters, it makes the deck a lot weaker. You can play like one of these new spells. So there's a new spell which was made, I believe, for this archetype, or at least with this archetype in mind. It's something to do with normal monsters. So if we go normal monster, it's this one, the Ancient Secret. So this says special summon one normal monster from hand, deck, or grave in defense. And then if you special summon from the deck, it must be a level 4 or lower. Or if you control a normal monster, you can play any one of these effects. So theoretically, this card can actually be very good. But when you're playing a deck like this, which actually doesn't even do that much, I don't think it's good. If you're going second with this deck, you're probably fine. I'm not gonna lie. If you're going first, these traps can actually be very good. Especially, not this one, it's this one. When your opponent activates a spell or trap while you control a normal monster or sent ritual monster, you negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. There's a counter trap, and it also has this effect as well. The total attack of all normal monsters you control is 3,000. Banish this card and then set one sent spell from deck, basically. So this would be very good, and I think this one as well. Yep, because it can ritual summon on the opponent's turn as well. These are okay, they're not bad, especially this one's good, because even a normal monster can turn this on. But aside from this, like these cards, I felt like was very weak. This can't do anything on its own. You actually need multiple card combos to be able to do a semi-decent combo. Because these, like, don't end on a good board, I think. I think the end board was like 3 or 4 interruptions, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, the deck was just not doing enough. But even though, like, the arts are very cool, I think the concept of them being also ritual monsters was very cool. But it needs more. I would hold off on saying this deck is bad. It's just that it needs a little push. So I would say this also has potential. I think Xenovaders are definitely better than this deck. So we'll put this here. Actually, I would do this. I would say Phantom Knights are better than this deck, 100%. But are Phantom Knights better than Xenovaders? Technically, yes, but it's more so about potential than this, because this is a rogue deck. This is potential, and I think this has a lot of potential, and it has potential to be here, actually. I wouldn't say it would be better than Raise Moon. Maybe if they give them some very insane cards, yes. But at the moment, I would say here. Then we have Blue Eyes. So why Blue Eyes? Because we actually got this cool Ultimate Blue Eyes card, which doesn't actually make a difference. But this is not the main reason I actually included Blue Eyes. It's because we actually got Purge support. So this actually is technically a Blue Eyes buff. So if we do this, we look at the Dominus Tier Rosy Pamela. That is a crazy name. So this is going to be a turn 0. Add the Dominus Purge from your deck to your hand, then discard 1 card. That's insane. And then you can use the effect if this card is normal or special summon. Actually, let me just click on this instead. That can use this effect as well. So you can set a Dominators or Dominus Purge trap from your deck or grave. That's insane. Set a Purge, and then guess what? It's a spell caster and it's a tuner. So you can use it to like synchro with Blue Eyes. And you can also use it to go into the Link one. What's it called? Like Blue Eyes Spirit, I think, or something. Blue Eyes. Yes, this one. Because this requires a level 4 or lower dragon or spellcaster monster. So this card's actually very, very good. And by the way, whatever you set off of this can be activated this turn. And the Dominus Purge you add is obviously going to be activatable because it's in your hand. And only likes lights, which is whatever. Like, Blue Eyes only like monsters. So this is going to be a huge addition to the deck. And I think that actually will make a difference for Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes has always been like one of these decks that can like, you know, suddenly be very good and then fall off again and then be good and then fall off again. So I don't think this is a deck to be slept on. It's still good. But it has to be, it needs first of all a good pilot that can play well around like hand traps and things within the meta. And then also the other issue with Blue Eyes is usually bricking. But we have actually gotten a lot of cards now that make this deck a lot less brickier. So another thing I should mention, because we're talking also about the TCG here, is Blue Eyes is gonna get another buff with the Overframe, this one. The Overframe Deep White Eyes. So this is going to be a starter as well, because it's going to add a level 1 light tuner. So you get to add like your Sage, and then you can normal summon it, and then make your plays basically. You can also add the Kaibaman, I think. And then the other thing is this one. So this is a very cool card. I would say this is a one-off if you want to play it. It can be very good. And Magnhot can also search this in the end phase and then nuke their field. So Blue Eyes is actually not in a bad spot whatsoever. I think Blue Eyes is still good. I would put this in... let's see. It's definitely better than all of these decks. Is it better than Blitzkrieg? I would say in the current meta... okay, if I'm considering the Purge, I would say this is probably going to be better than the Blitzkrieg. I'm not going to lie. Yes. I do think Blue Eyes would be better than Blitzkrieg. And this is not like a... Oh, if Blue Eyes went against Blitzkrieg, Blue Eyes would... who would win? No, this is not what this is. This is more so like what deck can actually beat the most meta decks, and I think Blue Eyes has a much better chance than Blitzkrieg. At the moment, at least. But yeah, Blue Eyes is still solid. I think people sleep on this deck, but it's actually very good still. And then we have Lunalight. So Lunalight, I hate Lunalight, guys. I'm not gonna shit on the deck and say it's, you know, an ass deck, because I know it's not ass. In a good player's hands, it's actually quite good. So yeah, just because I hate the deck will not mean that I'm gonna shit on it and put it as a meme deck. So they actually got this Lunalight Scarlet Tiger. I'm actually not sure how they're using this. This is still very new, and I only played against one Lunalight player, and it was with the Raised Moon, and I actually just fucked them up really bad with Raised Moon. But this actually adds more consistency to the deck, so it makes it better. And the thing about Lunalight is it keeps falling off and then becoming very good in certain metas. So this is one of these decks that are gonna be good in certain metas. It's not always gonna be good. It's when unaffected monsters are hard to out. There's a lot, like the best decks cannot out unaffected monsters. This is when Lunalight becomes very good. But in the upcoming meta, this is the most important thing to note. There are so many cards that are going to be outing unaffected monsters. You have this, the World's Gallant Thief. This is going to be in everyone's either main or side. This is going to destroy your double Liger play. Immediately. You will lose the duel, okay? With just one Gallant Thief. That's also going to check the, what do you call it? The one engraved. What's she called? Lunalight Silverhound. That's the one. It can check this in the graveyard as well, because it's going to negate, right? So Gallant Thief is one of these like super insane cards that are just going to be destroying and changing the meta a lot. Then there's going to be so many Lava Golems as well. They're going to be everywhere because like the top decks can play Lava Golem usually. Things like Blitzkrieg, Chaos, and so on. And then we actually have new cards as well. The Raw cards. Now notice I actually did not put the Raw in here, because Raw I actually haven't tried, so I can't talk about Raw if I haven't played it or played against it. It hasn't come out in Edo Pro yet. But they actually do have some really insane combos they've already done with this deck. This deck looks very promising. So this right here is a good example that can just destroy Liger in one play. You just set a Sun monster and then you distribute the monsters, whatever. They're fucked. You also have what do you call it? Raw. Actually, let's just go here. It's just right here, much easier. So this Raw right here absolutely destroys Liger and any unaffected monster as well, because it's just gonna make the opponent send them. So yeah, there's so many cards in the upcoming meta that are just going to be outing unaffected monsters. So I think this deck is actually going to be bad. I don't think it's like necessarily a bad deck, but in the meta that we are approaching, I think it would be a bad deck. But is it really a bad deck? No, definitely not. I think this would be a rogue deck. It would be like right, I would say right here. I think Blitzlick is better than this deck. Yeah. In the upcoming meta, there's no chance this is going to be better than Blitzkrieg. Because Blitzkrieg doesn't put any monsters on the board. These would all be dead in the opponent's hand, like the Gallon Thief and so on, and they can't use them against Blitzkrieg. Right? But they can use it against this. And this is, like, Lunalight cannot be compared to Blue Eyes in this sense, because, like, if they go Gallon Thief on, like, your monsters with Blue Eyes this is not what makes Blue Eyes good. It's the fact that they have so many layered interruptions. They have Veilers in hand, they have Ash Blossom, they have Droll in hand, they have Majesty in the back row, they have Drill Beam set, they have, you know, all of these, like, layered interruptions. They have Purge. It's so much, and they have so much recursion with them as well. That's what makes the deck very good. It's not the fact that they put a strong end board, right? So this is what I really like about Blue Eyes. Going second is, like, more of a problem for the deck, which is why it's in this tier and not here. But yeah. So, yeah, that's Moonlight, and then this actually Dark Magician. I thought I would include Dark Magician because we also got Dark Paladin, and then Dark Magician, I'm also including Chaos with it. So this would actually be a Dark Magician Chaos build if you want to play this, but if you want to consider this as a variant of Dark Magician Chaos, it would be here. If you want to consider this as only Dark Magician without Chaos, or like a heavy Dark Magician with some Chaos, I don't think this would be here. It would be here. Definitely here, because if you play Chaos, it's just better than all of these decks combined. But Dark Magician, like, as a deck, I think is not that greatest. No offense to anyone who plays Dark Magician, but the deck is just not complete. There are lots of gaps within the strategy of Dark Magician. You need to play bad cards. If you want to play Double Gaze is not really that great. If you think, you take your deck, you look at it, and you're like, what are the good cards in my deck? You will realize your deck is actually entirely ass, usually. These cards carry the deck. Curtain, best card, but this is like, you know, boosts the power of this deck by at least 10 times. Which is why it's, you know, so insane, this card right here. Any deck that can play this is already going to be boosted by like 3, 4, 5 times. Unless it's a deck that can super benefit from it, like Chaos, then it's going to be like, I don't know, like 50 times better, which is insane. So Curtain is the first thing. The other thing is Dragoon. Curtain and Dragoon, okay? These are the main cards that make like the strategy of Dark Magician strong. If you take out these cards, what is Dark Magician doing? Nothing. You just wait for these cards, you stop them, you win the game. At least from my experience, this is usually how it goes. I even played like pure Chaos, where I don't have enough interruptions, right? This is not like the other versions like Branded Chaos, where I have tons and tons of interruptions, 10 interruptions and so on. No, I only have like maybe 3, 4 interruptions with like a pure Chaos build, and I still win because I hit the right cards against Dark Magician, and it's usually just stopping the either Curtain or their Dragoon, and they just can't really do much after that. This is what makes the deck a lot weaker. Now, this is assuming you're playing Chaos, I would put it here. If you're not playing Chaos and it's just Dark Magician, I would say it's a meme. I'm gonna be honest, it's just not playable. If you only play Dark Magician. It's not even Rogue, it's just meme. Like, it's only for fun, you play with your friends, maybe play it at locals, probably lose every duel. Maybe you win the one duel, you go first, you put up like 6 interruptions or something, and you get lucky. But like, aside from this, like, if I'm being realistic, people have hand traps, they have lots of ways to stop your plays, and this would not be a good deck. So, I don't think Dark Magician is being played pure right now. Most people play it with Chaos, which is why I will put it here. I think it's better than actually no, it's not better than Blue Eyes. I would put it here. Yes. This is heavy Dark Magician with some chaos. Then we have this, which is actually very interesting. This is the Umbral Horror cards. Umbral Horror. Also, another thing I should just quickly mention is like this deck loses to Full Loss as well, and they do play quite badly into like Perulia. So Umbral Horror. What do I think about this? I actually have played this deck. I played the pure version. I played it with some other engines as well. The deck is not necessarily bad. Because it's a level 4 spam deck, you can actually do quite a bit with it. But is it, like a good deck? You can play it with, what do you call it? You can play it with Ryzeal if you want, but the issue is this right here. So this Gorgonic Umbral Horror, it can lock you into number Xyz while it's on the field, and sometimes you actually can't afford to go into Ryzeal. So if we, there was a card, was it this one? Each player, no, it's not this one. There is what's that hand trap one? This one, right? This is gonna lock you into Xyz monsters only. So you can't really play this with other than Xyz decks, which is the main issue. But this deck still has good potential. The only issue is going second. I think this is not good enough because you're locking your opponent into 2 summons from the extra deck. If the opponent has ways to stop it, which usually they do because Fallen the Virtuous is very prevalent, and with Chaos, for example, you can just banish this face down. Chaos doesn't care about the extra deck, but that's just an example. There's lots of cards that can just pop these and stop them. So it makes this strategy going second a lot weaker. You might be able to go into like Extra Knight and then just get stopped as well. So it makes the deck a lot weaker. I haven't lost to this deck yet. When I was playing it, actually, I think it was 50-50. I won half my duels, I lost half my duels. The deck felt like it was lacking. It wasn't enough. But I wouldn't say this is a meme deck. I would say this is more so of like a rogue deck or just a bad deck. I would say it's right here. Now again, I would wish I knew how to like actually make another tier for this so I can separate potential and rogue. But this is not like rogue, okay? In terms of like how good the decks are at the moment, this is obviously better than this, but this has potential, which is why I have it in this tier. Otherwise, this would be just a meme deck, right? So with Umbral, because I think this deck might still have potential, but we need more cards to make it good, or a proper way to play it without having to rely on just like the Umbral Horror cards, because the other engines I don't think complement the deck very well. And it loses to a lot of stuff like Droll and Lockbird, which is the main thing. Like this tier list would actually be a lot different if Droll and Lockbird was not a card. But yeah. Because of this, I will say this deck is probably here. Better than Senate. More potential than Senate, I feel like. But it's not better than all of these decks. These decks are just still way better than it, unfortunately. I actually did enjoy playing the deck, but it just felt like I wasn't doing enough, and my opponents were just destroying me. And the deck was a bit bricky, because you don't have a good balance of hand traps versus engine. You can't with this deck, right? So yeah, and then we have Ars Magna. Yeah, you guys have been waiting for this one, yeah? Ars Magna. So what do I think about this deck? Yeah, this is what I think. And I even said it like when I first saw the cards, it was just super obvious that this deck was super ridiculous and a very unfair deck at that as well. I don't know. Oh, they're out in the OCG. So I actually don't know how well it's been performing in the OCG. I haven't looked. But we will look at it in a second together. So this deck I've played, I've seen how disgusting this deck is. There's no locks with this deck. You get so much advantage off this deck. And it's super insanely broken because you can also use it with the Power Patrons, Elf Notes. Stupid. Okay, especially with Elf Notes. I think playing this deck with Elf Notes is ridiculous. Actually, I think Elf Notes was already performing very well in the OCG. So if you slot this on Elf Notes as well, I don't see how this would not be one of the best decks, if I'm being honest. Yeah, like this deck was super broken. You can do some nasty combos with this. You also have the Medicurious, which is a nasty card. Super generic, unaffected. You can out this with some cards, but God, this card is annoying. And we should also consider the fact that this right here, I'm assuming there's also like all the new cards that come with it, including utility selection, which means Mind Mirror Force will be a card. Mind Mirror Force can hurt Blue Eyes, but because it's layered interruptions, it doesn't stop the hand traps in hand. It doesn't stop the back rows. Only stops the monsters, right? Against these other decks, actually hurts them a lot more. Not Blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg doesn't care. Lunalight also doesn't care if they have the unaffected monsters already. But the other decks, I think, definitely get hurt a lot by Mind Mirror Force if it resolves. And that's like huge. And things like Phantom Knights, like if you put up a huge board, or any deck that can put up tons and tons of face-up cards and negates and stuff, gets fucking destroyed by Mind Mirror Force. Including Elf Notes. Elf Notes actually take a huge hit by Mind Mirror Force, but people can play around it. That's the issue, right? And that's why this deck is probably gonna be like one of the best decks, if it's not already. I don't know. So let's actually check to see like how it's doing in the OCG. The deck is just super strong. Like, it pushes through everything. In the OCG, they have Baron. We will not have Baron in the TCG, but I don't think that makes a difference. Oh shit, Elf Notes is actually best deck. There's no way. Okay, this is 20% Elf Notes, and this is yeah, this is very recent as well. So let's actually look here. Oh, they are. Oh my god. Okay, they are actually playing Ars Magna. How much are they playing Ars Magna? Yeah, they're basically playing the same ratios that I was playing when I was testing the deck. Minus this, I think I was playing more copies of this, but this is just so they can keep it 14. So just what the one Theorized Medius, you don't really need one more than just one of each of these. This, you could argue you don't even need to play, I think. And then they just have this. They don't play the Trap, which is completely understandable, and they play the Medicurious as well. Yeah, I mean, you guys can see, like, the deck is doing the best, it seems, in the OCG. For a good reason. Like, Ars Magna is ridiculous. If we look at the other ones, is everyone else also playing Ars Magna? This guy is not playing Ars Magna. This guy is also not playing it, but this is. This is 54 players, 60 players. Yeah, most of them, I would say, are playing Ars Magna. Yep. So this is probably going to be like the new way to play the Elvenot deck. Yep, they're basically just playing it similar to... But this guy's playing 2 copies of this. And they also played this, which they can search with the Purification. Actually, wait. This guy was not playing Purification, I think. This guy? Oh, he was. Okay, I was like, why is he not playing it? Yeah, you guys can see, like, this deck is super nasty. You get so much advantage off these cards. So much. It's ridiculous. And these cards banish themselves and then revive, which means they dodge Bell. They don't necessarily, I think, care too much about draw. If you draw, like, you can't stop these, like, ads. But if you can get them into the graveyard, then you can just banish them with, like, SP, whatever, and they're still going to trigger on the opponent's turn. They're very, very nasty cards. And Elvenot just make them so much better. So how many negates are you going to have with this deck? Like, bajillion? I don't know. This guy actually plays the Trap in the side deck. I think so I can put it in going first. I'm thinking, yeah. He also plays 1 Medius. Alright. So yeah, I do think this is going to be the best deck, obviously. And then I do have Scarecrow here, but this is not Scarecrow by itself. This is actually Trap decks. What do I think Trap decks will be once we get like all the new Trap cards? If I go I think Crow? Scarecrow? No, it's Scare something. Okay, maybe it's just Crow. Oh, Crow Seller. That's what it was. Corpse Seller, never mind. This card is very insane. I have shown videos of me actually playing this with Chaos. It was like a Trap deck, and that deck was so insanely good. I would say it's even better than the brand Chaos version, in my opinion. But that was like with like all the new cards, utility selection, and so on. But I haven't played it super competitively, like properly tested it against competitive decks. Even though I've played against competitive decks, so I can't properly tell as to like how good that would be when everyone like is playing meta. But these new trap cards that we're getting are super insane. We have some very good traps. There's also another one which, if we go like trap and then like OCG, look at this. These are basically all the traps that are currently being played like the most. And you can probably play a lot of them in this deck. And you can also play like the Sutra cards. So Sutra is like a new art deck we will talk about later. I think it's in the tier list as well. I forgot what the other name of the trap. There was a counter trap that also came out, if I'm not mistaken. So it says banish everything face down. Banish face down. This one. The Annihilate Retroglide. This is also very insanely good. Because if it gets popped, you set any trap from the deck, and then you can also use this first effect, which you can use, I think, turn 3 if your opponent activates anything. Boom. Flip it face up, banish everything face down, all the monsters that were not summoned this turn, which is usually going to be like all their monsters, right? And it's a counter trap. They cannot respond to this. So these like new traps that are coming soon in like Beyond the Brave and Utility Selection are super insane. So trap decks are actually a real thing. This is not a meme, right? Mind, Mirror Force, yeah, and the protection of Chaos and actually giving you plays and OTK potential makes these trap decks a lot more insane. And you can play them with Lab if you want. That's up to you. But I do think, I wouldn't say this is tier 1 potential. I would say it has very high potential, 100% better than all of these decks. It's not even close. Like these trap decks actually have huge potential in the future. The only reason I'm not putting it in tier 1 potential is I'm not actually sure how they properly perform against like all of these, right? All of these. I've played against like most of these, like I've actually destroyed with this deck, but I want to play against like super good players with this deck to actually properly test it. Then I can decide whether I want to put it here or not. But at the moment, I'll just leave it here. I think trap decks have huge potential in the future. And then we have Umi. What do you guys think about Umi? I really tried to make this deck work. I promise. I tried my best. I think this deck was just very bad. It was cool. Like the playstyle was cool, but I think it was just very bad because like it doesn't put up enough interruptions. And the fact that what do you call it? It was the continuous spell, right? Let's look for it. Let's go spell. The continuous spell is what made me think this was better than it was. It's this one, the Atlantis. So initially when I read this field spell, it's not a continuous spell, it's a field spell. When I first read this, it says reduce the levels of all monsters in both players' hands and fields by 1. This is a floodgate, okay? It's gonna stop like, well not stop, but it's gonna modulate the levels of Cool Tune, making them harder to actually synchro, and also Elf Notes and all of these decks. Especially like Xyz decks that hurt Xyz a lot, much more than Synchros, because Synchros can still like maybe play around that. So this would be a very powerful effect, and also lets you summon from your hand 1 level less. But this is not the main effect of this. If you see the secondary effect, it says if you link summon a Daedalus monster, you can reduce the amount of materials by 1. And it has another effect where it says, what do you call this? Reduce the levels. If you link summon, you can reduce the material requirement listed on it by 1, and link summon it with 1 less material. I thought this would make a link 4 a link 2. So I thought this was just insane, right? And it would be insane. But that's actually not how it worked, it turns out. And it was the fact that it actually makes this a link 3 instead of link 4. Although that was still decent, it's not enough. 100% not enough. And it makes the deck super sloppy. It just, I think this deck needs 5 more cards at least. Well, not 5, actually 4 more cards would be enough for this deck. I think it needs a better spell. This is not enough. Okay, this is a decent spell, but we need another one that does something a lot better. Instead of just like adding more cards, because we already had like the monster that added the cards anyway, which was the new Umi level 7. This one already added cards. Why do we need a spell for that as well? Why not have the spell do something completely different that can, you know... also, wait. There was something else that really fucked us over. It was this. This doesn't count as Umi when it's in the field zone. So it actually got sent to the graveyard when you used your other effects. Like the Lynx one that sent everything to the grave except Umi's, this one. It sent your own field spell to the grave, which really fucked me over a lot as well. So I think this set needs a better spell card, and then it needs better monsters. So where's the one that dumps? This one's very good. This one plus this are good, but this one's very slow. Although it gets to add, it's super slow, and that's made it first of all very bad. It's not a quick effect, and this one, like discard your opponent's entire hand, they can't respond. You can't draw after that. Made that a lot weaker. And then the other thing is, this card doesn't really contribute much to your opponent. You wait for them to add, then you activate it, they discard, but they still get to draw more cards, and then they can continue playing. It's not a real interruption, right? It's like a fake interruption where it's just like you're gambling. Oh, I hope my opponent doesn't draw into something. But obviously they will. You discard 5 cards from their hand, they're going to draw 5 new cards. They're going to have more plays, right? So this was not really doing anything. The only thing that was decent was like the Link 4, because it was sending everything to the graveyard. This one. Aside from this, like the other cards were just very bad, I think. Yeah, like this one was okay. It's just not enough. It's not the card itself that was bad. It's just that it doesn't do enough. There's not enough Link monsters. You have to go. What is it? This is a Link 2 because of the field spell. And this is a Link 3, but you can't usually have both of them doing enough, right? Because this is not really a real interruption. You only have this once you go for this and move on. And then the other thing is you heavily have to rely on the Floodgate of Karyushin. Why are we having to play Floodgates, old Floodgates even, in a deck that is new and supposed to be good on its own? That was like the thing that really made me just not want to play this deck, to be honest, after. And yeah, the deck just did not do enough. Now, I think this deck was playing Impulse, if I'm not mistaken. I was definitely playing Impulse in this deck. But yeah. If I was to say how good this deck is, I would say it's a bad deck. I don't think this deck is like a potential or like rogue deck. Because Umi is an old deck, they wouldn't give even more support to this deck. Like they would for newer decks, obviously. They give them more waves of support. So I think this will be a bad deck for a while. It's a fun deck to play, but it's not really playable, if that makes sense, right? You can't really win against real decks with this. Then we have Sacred Beasts. Sacred Beasts. So I think we've actually seen some people do somewhat well with Sacred Beasts. I don't think Sacred Beasts is bad, 100%, but the deck had some clear flaws in its strategy. First of all, where's the new field spell? Is it this one? Yep. So this field spell is strong, but it requires you to send 3 cards. If you're constantly sending 3 cards, you're gonna minus a lot, okay? Although this can draw 2 cards and like you have this to add 3, it doesn't matter. You're still having to send 3 traps, 3 spells, and guess what? The spells and traps are ass in this deck. You have to play this card? You're telling me I have to play this huge brick? 3 copies of this in my deck just to make my engine live. No, fuck that. I'm not playing that shit. You have to tell me that I have to play this card, which also does nothing, just to turn on my engine? Fuck no. I'm not playing that shit, right? These cards are ass, and you're forced to play them. And then you have this card, which is also mid. I wouldn't say this is bad, but it's mid. Mainly because, like, you can activate it 3 times, but it's only negating a monster on the field. Then it has the first 2 times this card on the field will be destroyed by card effect. It's not destroyed. Okay, who the fuck cares? Everyone is banishing these days. This doesn't matter. And the fact that you can respond to the final effect makes this bad. If this was 3 negates where you cannot respond to it, it would have been a lot better, and I would consider this deck to be, you know, a lot better because it has a real boss monster. This I would not count as a real boss monster. This is just not doing enough, to be honest. Actually, I've seen people not even summon this when I play against them, and I asked them why, and they said this deck, like, this card's just ass. And I fully agree, because this was my initial thoughts on the card. And then this card's actually probably the best card in the deck. I think it just does a lot. It's going to be revived from grave, from hand, basically doing everything this deck needs. Without this card, this deck just does nothing, literally. And then out of these, they're all ass except this one. This one has an effect where it can pop a back row and you cannot respond. This can actually be very good, especially against top decks, because Chaos needs Mind Shuffle. So as soon as you place Mind Shuffle, they activate this, pop it, you can't respond. This is what these cards should have been. You cannot respond to them because they're supposed to be very strong cards, right? So this has probably one of the weakest effects ever. Like, this will never be live. And then this it just fucks you over. It's a mandatory effect that's gonna trigger, and then you can like chain Mind Shuffle to it. And I'm talking about this one. Once per turn, if a monster is sent to the grave, inflict 1,000 to your opponent. This can really fuck you over sometimes, and it has fucked up a lot of my opponents because it's a mandatory effect, and they've lost to it as well. So yeah, although this is a starter, because it can add this and then continue playing, like this card by itself cannot carry the entire deck. Okay, if this is ass, and this is also ass, except the final effect that pops, because adding a trap doesn't do anything. Like I add this, then what? Why can't I place this directly, right? And then this is it's a good trap, but it's, again, you don't want to play three of this and then one of this as well. That's 4 cards that are doing nothing. You can discard this to fuse, but like this is only for this, which is also an ass monster like we discussed. And then yeah, like the whole strategy of this deck is very bad. You need to rely on other cards like Varidros and so on to be able to make this deck better. With that being said, this deck is still good, regardless of the bad design of these cards. Also, I forgot to talk about this card. I think this card's good. This card like basically does everything in your deck. It's gonna place your back row. It's gonna summon 3 copies of itself to like make this one live, basically. So this actually does a lot, and also go into like I think a Fiendsmith combo if I'm not mistaken, with like the Unchained and stuff if you want. So ultimately, like this deck still has room for hand traps and stuff to like save it, and it has like better 1-card combos because like of this card. This card can do everything on its own. This card can easily add it as well, and then you can do some stuff with that. Because of this, I think this deck has good potential. Yeah, if I could do like good deck and then like potential and stuff. But I would put this deck. Is it better than Blitzkrieg? Actually, wait. Dark Magician is not better than Blitzkrieg. Hold on. This is. Is Blitzkrieg better than Sacred Beasts? I would say yes. Yes, I would definitely say Blitzkrieg is better. So I would probably place it here. Now this is only here, by the way, because of Chaos. But if we consider all the new cards as well with like utility selection, now that I'm thinking back, there are so many like new board breakers and stuff to out like unaffected monsters that if you heavily rely on just Chaos and nothing else, and you don't have like Brandy, you don't have the other cards that are going to be carrying this deck, I don't think this will be better than Blitzkrieg in that sense. Yeah. So I'll place this right here. I don't think it's a bad deck. I think it's still decent. It just was designed quite poorly, I would say. And then we have this. So do you guys know what this is? Before I do anything. This is actually a Sutra. So a Sutra should, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's Ashtura or something now. Okay, I'm not sure what it's called now. I hate when like the TCG changes the names of these cards, but Asura is like one of these decks that can actually do some very cool stuff, because you can thrust cards into your back row and then you can spin them back to your hand. So I think it actually has a real strategy. It just doesn't have an end board. That's the problem. The end board is very ass because it heavily relies on traps. So you have to play traps to make this deck playable. And possibly in a trap deck, you can make a Sutra a lot better. I would say, I would think, meaning that you can actually play it with this. By the way, so in this deck, I was actually playing a Sutra at some point, and it was still performing as well as it was because Sutra is very strong. Okay, there we go. So they actually changed them to. Oh, it's just has like the same thing. Okay, let's go Akasuna to see like what the new name is. Okay, so it's Ashtra, I guess. So if you see this effect, you can special summon this card by revealing one set card and then return it to the hand or extra deck. So this can completely like spin back your sets, even with thrust and so on, making this deck very interesting to play. And these are basically free summons because whatever you set, you just set again and then spin back, summon again. So this actually makes these cards a lot better, but there's one big issue with this deck. Um, they're quite slow. They don't actually do anything on your turn. They only do, like, any interruptions. So in terms of board breaking, this has no board breaking potential. Like, pretty much zero, pretty much. Yeah. But on the opponent's turn, it can play, but it requires you to play these traps, which are all very bad, I think, except this one. So when I played this deck, I actually didn't even bother playing these because they were very bad. I tried playing them, they were just super ass, they kept breaking me. And it was actually just better not to play them and play like some other spells and traps that I can utilize more efficiently. But this is more so of an engine than a deck, is what I felt like when I was playing this deck. If they give this deck more support, would it be playable pure? Maybe. But would it be good pure? I would still think no, you need to play this as an engine. So when I talk about this here, I'm actually talking about it as an engine, not as a deck. And as an engine, it has very, very strong potential. I would put it around here. Mainly because in the future, we can actually see much better cards that can utilize these Asutra cards, making them super insanely good. And the fact that you can like synchro with these, because these are tuners, makes it a lot better. So I would actually put it better than Blitzclick, because it definitely has more potential than Blitzclick. The only issue is like we need to see like what cards they would give this. This also came out in Beyond the Brave. Yep, so it's quite new. So we should expect to maybe see more waves of support in the new Raw pack, which was just like announced with the Raw cards. And hopefully they give like a good card to put this deck together. Possibly a spell card, because we only have a field spell at the moment. And hopefully the spell card would be able to like, you know, give you board breaking potential. As well as like, you know, put these all together, because these don't really do anything at the moment. This is like, I guess, the only like technically board breaker, but it doesn't, like, this is not enough. It's very bad, and it's a spell speed 1. It's not a real board breaker. So yeah, I think this deck needs like 3 cards or something to make it good. But as an engine, I can still play like a lot of these cards. Like this one I can play, this one I can play. I can still play this one. This one's bad. I can still play one of these, and then maybe one of this in like an engine, and still make it good. So I'd either put it here or here. Yeah, I think it's interchangeable. You can say Blitzclick is better, that's completely fine, and it actually probably is better at the moment, but it has good potential to be good in the future. Then we have Unchained. So Unchained actually is very good. I think Unchained has tier 1 potential. It's not tier 1, but it has potential to be tier 1. If we look at OCG, I think it has also been doing well in the OCG. So let's see. The fact that Unchained is a Fiend deck already makes it very powerful. Let's see if Unchained's actually in here. It's right here. It's 4.3%. Let's see. Where is Unchained? Right there. Okay. I think this deck is actually very good. The fact that, like, I don't like this syncretism, to be honest, but like these cards, especially the Shima, has so much value in this deck. And then this new card people have been loving as well. It makes the deck very good. What the hell is that card? You can special summon this card by banishing 3 cards from the grave. If this card is special summoned, you can banish 1 monster and 2 spells and trap from your opponent's field and grave. Okay, wow. What the hell? But yeah, this deck has been performing quite well. Why? Because it also plays well around Droll and Lockbird. It can play quite poorly into Full Loss, but you can actually Droll yourself as well. And with Perulia, it can also like play badly into it, but again, you can Droll yourself. But I'm not gonna fully rely on Droll for everything and just say, oh, you can Droll yourself. It's more so the fact that this deck can actually, first of all, OTK, you can actually play well under, what do you call it? Under hand traps, excluding the Charmies. Like Ash Blossom is fine. You can easily play around Ash Blossom. You can play around Veiler. You can play around Imperm, Impulse. All of these cards are easy to play around. You go like Carvara, dodge the Imperm on this, and this will trigger to summon from deck. And it's also very hard to kill this deck because they just keep triggering again and again and again. And where's the actually, yeah, they got these as like extra interruptions, so their interruptions are super layered now, and they obviously play this with Fiendsmith, so the Caesar is still very good. Yeah, This deck is actually performing very well, it seems, in the OCG, and for good reason. Like, I think this deck is, you need a good pilot for this deck, 100%. I didn't used to play Unchained, so it was hard for me to actually properly pilot it. But in good players' hands, you can see like they actually perform quite well. This guy's actually playing the Umbral Horror cards with it, which is kind of interesting. I don't know why he's doing that. Maybe he's going to Fiendsmith? One card Fiendsmith combo? Is that why? Or is it for Dagaris, maybe? Yeah, I don't know. Oh, actually, wait. Dagaris is the Fiend, yeah. So maybe you go Dagaris and then you revive the Fiend, and then you can use them to go into the Unchained Soul, is what I would think. But yeah, this is very good because the pops actually are good against Chaos and some other decks like Elnos. You can pop their back rows as well. They also play Ogre here, as you can see, and this guy's using the Dole Hammer, which is interesting. And this card is good because you draw 2 and then you also pop one of these to trigger their effects, so you get so much more value off them. So yeah, Unchained, very good. I think it does have tier 1 potential. Then we have Destiny Heroes. Destiny is 100% potential rogue. I would say it's definitely better than Blue Eyes. This deck is very good. I have played this myself. Unchained, not Unchained. Destiny Heroes play a lot better into what do you call it? Like, it's much more consistent, I feel like, when you play Destiny Heroes, because there's so many ways you can access your plays. You can go Fallen the Virtuous, not Fallen the Virtuous, yeah, Fallen the Virtuous, send Elbow Lunatus to the graveyard, then you can add Fusion Destiny in the end phase for your turn. And then the Dreadnought is massive. You can easily go for OTK, and you can do everything Omni Hero was doing before much faster with less plays and less bricks. So this is why I think this deck actually has a lot more potential. And you guys know, with heroes, you want to floodgate. So if you are floodgating every opponent you play against, ultimately, like, you're not going to lose, right? Like, you're just going to destroy everyone. There's one issue for this deck, and that's Gallant Thief. So if we look at Gallant Thief, this is the biggest threat, I feel like, to this deck. But some other cards, like Mind Mirror Force, can be played around. I personally can definitely 100% play around it with heroes. And a lot of the like new board breakers, I can definitely beat with Destiny Heroes. I don't think they would beat me. And the fact that this deck can actually now search D-Force with Plasma is what makes this deck insane. So if you don't know what the Dreadnought does, it can just immediately just add 2 Destiny Hero monsters and or cards that mention a Destiny Hero monster's name. This mentions Plasma specifically. So that's why you just, you know, probably auto-lose. A lot of decks auto-lose to like Plasma D-Force. And this has always been the case since like the start of human time. When this card was released, if you manage to get that on the board, and then you also get like this on the board, you get like Counter Zero Chaos to negate. You get what do you call it? DPE on the board, and then like how do you beat this? Then you also, this deck can play Impulse as well, so it makes the deck so much better, way better than the Omni Heroes. And yeah, I think this deck definitely has very high potential. Is it better than Trap decks? Definitely not. Trap decks should actually fucking destroy this deck. But also like Trap decks has a higher chance to beat other decks. This deck would lose to Chaos, because Chaos plays Lava Golem, can play Gallant Thief. There's so many cards that can like immediately tribute your Plasma and destroy it. And I can also go like Swordman effect, Chain Fallen the Virtuous, pop my own Swordman, and then your Plasma is outed. So, you know, like these decks can just 100% beat Destiny Heroes, and Cool Toon can also beat the deck because they can still spin it back non-targeting, although it will be hard. If you have like the full board with Dark Claw as well, Cool Toon will die. But yeah, I mean with Chaos you can beat it, but Cool Toon cannot play like Lava Golem, and like I don't think they can usually play like Gallant Thief either. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah. Then we have Darktown Wizard. So unfortunately, Darktown Wizard is not a real deck. So I have included this as an engine, more so than a deck. This has tier 1 potential. Actually, this is here. No, here. Yeah, why? Because although it's not a real deck, you can only play that engine even in your side deck, and it might even be in everyone's side deck soon. And it's insane. If we read Dark Time Wizard, if you don't know what this card does, this is going to toss a coin. Yep, you toss a coin. Then what you do is, if you call it correctly, you destroy all monsters the opponent controls. If you call it incorrectly, you destroy all monsters you control. Then whoever took the, got their monsters destroyed takes damage equal to half the combined attack of all these destroyed monsters. Why is that relevant? Because it doesn't matter if you call this correctly or not. Either way, as long as you have a monster and it gets destroyed by this effect, even if you call it incorrectly, you get to summon this insane monster. This Red Eyes. You get to tribute any unaffected monster. Well, not unaffected necessarily, but like any monster on the field, and then you get to revive something from the graveyard that is level 9 or lower. And this card can easily OTK as well, especially paired up with some other cards as well, like the Dark Time Wizard card, which you don't need. You just need the Dark Time Wizard and the Trap card. So, I think it's Grave Robber. This is not mandatory to play. You can 100% not play this, but I would recommend that you play this card because this is one of the best traps I've ever seen and I've ever tried as well. I actually use this in this deck, the trap deck, and I actually use the Dark Time Wizard itself in the deck as well. It's so insane, this card right here. Why? Because not only does it mill something which can be an interruption, this is 3 interruptions on its own. How? You're gonna let's go Dark Time Wizard so you can see like the other cards as well. This can immediately dump this, which will be an interruption in the grave. Well, it's a chance for it to be an interruption. Again, that's why like it makes the cards weak until we get like a card that is gonna help us nail these coin flips, like guaranteed. This is gonna roll a die if your opponent normal special summons, and then if you call it, if you get like 6 or higher on the die, you can pop that card or monsters. I mean, so this has potential to be good, the secondary effect, but the problem is it's up to chance, which is fine. You still can get this in the grave if you want to play it. If you don't, that's completely fine. You can just send this and just have this be 2 interruptions. So once you send, you can actually revive any monster from either grave. That's ridiculous, because if your opponent has Dragoon in the grave now and you outed it or something, let's say even like with the Dark Time Wizard itself, now this actually can't pop it, but what you can do is you can go for the Red Eyes. You tribute their Dragoon, and then you summon, and then you can use this on the opponent's turn to steal their Dragoon from the grave. That's insane. And then you can also just steal whatever. You can also mill, like with the first effect, instead of sending this, you can also send this and then revive it. You can send Jinzo, revive it, and then you can send like any one of these, which this is also an interruption. If you want to play it, I would definitely not recommend you play this. But you revive anything from grave, that's 1 interruption, because whatever you revive should be an interruption. You can also steal the opponent's monster. If they're trying to revive it, take it for yourself. And then the secondary effect is also insane. So you can basically banish this and then steal a spell or trap from the opponent's grave, or you can set the Dark Time Wizard again, so you can use it on the following turn. That's ridiculous, okay? Against Chaos, the number one thing is that they cannot play around this. When they activate this, you just wait for them to activate this in the graveyard to add back, which they need. You go for the Grave Robber, you steal this and set it, and they're fucked. This happens a lot. I do this a lot to my Chaos opponents, and they just can't play around it. There's no way to play around it. They have to activate this first, which then you still shuffle this back, and this already activated to mill this. So now they lose out on the Light and Darkness ritual, right? It hurts Chaos quite a bit. Even if you know how to play around it, you can't, right? And then it also hurts other decks as well, because if they mill something that they need in the grave, you just steal it from the graveyard. It's a really, really annoying card. So this as an engine actually is insanely powerful. I think it's super slept on, and people will come to respect it in the future. Hopefully, in this raw set, we should be getting at least 1 Joey card. And that card will maybe solve like the issue with like the coin flips. Maybe even the deck entirely, or even give us like more than 1 card, because they realize, oh, this is not a real deck that we printed. We need to actually print out more cards to sell the deck, hopefully. And they print like 3 cards that can help us, hopefully. We'll see. So yeah, I think this is definitely tier 1 potential, because it can be used in every tier 1 deck. It's even a side deck engine, right? Then we have Toons. best deck. This is not really debatable. As long as Mindscan exists, the meta is doomed forever. So if we look at Mindscan, man, this card is just stupid. I don't know what they were thinking when they printed this card. So this basically says you can look at your opponent's entire hand if you control like these, right? And then you basically see everything they have. You know exactly how to play around their cards. They're always revealed. Because they're always revealed, you cannot activate cards like Harmonia, which has to reveal to summon itself, right? And even use this effect. You cannot use anything that has to reveal itself from the hand. So many decks die to this, okay? If we go reveal, guess who's dying to this? You cannot reveal the Rotary. You cannot reveal Harmonia. If we go Monster, you cannot reveal Habakiri. To go for Mitsurugi, you can't reveal with the Celtic Sage. Jokel, dead. Farah can't reveal. All of these just can't reveal. I don't think this reveals. Oh, it does. Oh my god. Yeah, Blitzclick dies immediately to this deck. Mindscan is just not fair. You also can't like reveal for Inkcraft as well if you want to play that. Like this card is a mistake, and as long as this card exists and tunes are a real deck, this will always be best deck. Actually, this is here. Why? Because I think the only thing that can stop this is Mind Mirror Force, really. Because if the opponent doesn't play around Mind Mirror Force, which they can, I think, play around it a bit, they can't properly play around this card because they have to significantly weaken their board and they play with much less interruption. They have a counter tap Omni Negates. They look at your hand with Mindscan, they can declare one of the cards. And then the other things is they could possibly have one interruption on the board, maybe. Maybe like a... Oh, what do they put up usually? I think some people play Dragoon. And then you don't really need Dragoon. You can play like some other stuff, but you can put up at least like one monster interruption. Could be like Masquerina or something. Well, not Masquerina. Masquerina would play into Mind Mirror Force. But if you think about it, they will have to weaken their board significantly just to be able to play around this. So counting one Mind Mirror Force means they need the counter trap plus the mind scan. They already have the field spell on the field, and they have 2 slots left for monsters. Only 2. Actually, not even. They only have 1 slot left for monsters. Oh, I'm an idiot. No, it's 2, because like the counter trap is set. Yes. So then they have 2 slots left. Whether they want to use that as for another back row that's going to be face up, or another 2 monsters, that's up to them. But this is significantly weaker than then putting up 10,000 interruptions with super link climb combo, and yeah, you just get FTK'd by that. So what I would think is they could put up like the box, I forget, evil box, which is a very good interruption, and then they could put up like anything else, maybe like the Blue Eyes Toon Ultimate, which is not a real interruption to be honest. So that board is actually very breakable, and that's all just so they can play around this, which they see in your hand, right? And they cannot stop it because Mind Scan cannot negate this. So that's the way to beat tunes. There are some other ways you can beat tunes as well, like Droll and Lockbird. Sometimes some hand traps, combination of hand traps can beat them if they don't open the best hand. And then currently there are some cards that can be very good, like we have Gallant Thief and so on. Like there are more cards that are able to beat tunes now. But I still think tunes are going to be better than Aldnotes by a bit. They're both insane. Whoever goes first would most likely win, obviously. But who has the stronger matchup against most decks? I would say tunes. So tunes right here. Now actually, I think if Baron was legal in the TCG, maybe this actually would override this. But at the moment, I think tunes 100% best deck. Then we have S4's meme deck. We don't really need to talk about this. This is actually just super meme. It's always been a meme deck, even with the supports. Actually got even memeier, which I don't know if that's a word, but it feels that way. And then Melfi, also meme deck. This is not really a good deck at all. I've never actually seen any Melfi player that I've played against do anything with these cards. These cards are so ass. They're so easy to out. They don't really have much that they can do. They activate from the hand, constantly spinning back to the hand and doing like some stupid bullshit, and then in the end they just end on like 2 interruptions. Like, don't waste my time. And then we have Witchcrafter. That's a real deck. Okay, Witchcrafter is a real deck. Would it be tier? Yeah, again, like I need like another tier list here. I don't think like this is necessarily tier 1 potential, but it's definitely better than potential. I would say this is a very good deck. So I would actually put this here. I think it's a very good deck. They can go. So if we go Witchcrafter here, they can play the Demon, they can play Dragoon, they can play all these cards. And then in addition to this card's very insane. And they have this new card as well, which is further buffing the deck. Like, these new cards are doing a lot, especially this one being able to revive from the grave. I always forget about this and I get destroyed by it. They can put up this, you can't target anything. They sometimes summon 2 of these as well. And the deck is very consistent from what I've seen. I don't think they usually brick. And there's a super nasty card which I really hate. I don't know why that even exists, but where is it? It's a quick play spell that says your opponent cannot activate anything in response to like your Witchcrafter cards. I don't know why that's a card. This special summon 1 Witchcrafter from your hand, and if you do, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to the activation of your spellcaster or monster effects for the rest of the turn. That's a lingering effect. This card is disgusting. So this deck has lots of recursion, it has very good consistency, and then on top of that, it doesn't really lose to that many hand traps. Joel and Lackbird can fuck them up, yes. I think Full Loss is decent. I wouldn't say Full Loss is an auto win against the sec. It's just decent. Prolia, you know, they can technically play around it. Maybe they'll give you like 2 draws to summon like the level 4s. What are they called? It's this one, not this one. It's this one. Yeah, this one and the other one. I think the one with the arrow, if I'm not mistaken, and this one. Yep. Which again, like they can just play around it and choose not to even give you these draws. So it's not like the biggest deal ever. So I think Witchcrafter is actually a very solid deck, and will 100% be on the meta. I definitely think so. If we look at the OCG actually, if we look at the OCG, I would expect to see Witchcrafters. Witchcrafters right here. Yep. So if we look to see like what people are playing in the Witchcrafter deck, that would actually be a lot better. You can get like a proper visual at like what people are using, how people are using the cards. So they're playing like the Crowley here because they can use it with the Magistus. And then, yeah, this is also a new card which is also quite decent. This guy's playing Eon as well. That's mad. Baron, yep. Yeah, this deck has lots of negates here. This guy's playing like a mini invoked engine. Oh, it's because of this, because it's Alistair, so you can make like these and combo with them. Yeah, that's kind of cool. And then yeah, of course, has like access to Secret Village, which technically you can like probably search. I'm sure there's a combo where you can search it. But yeah, Witchcrafter, solid deck. Sky Strikers is tier 1 potential. I do think Sky Strikers are very good, and they will continue to be good. I think it's better than this. Now this is an engine, so I will actually keep it here. Sky Strikers versus this. Okay, because this is potential, rather than it actually being a good deck, because we don't have like another tier list here, I would keep it this way. I think, actually, yes, like this. So I think Sky Striker is obviously very good. If we look here, I think Sky Striker would definitely still be on the tier list. It should be. Yep, Sky Striker is right here. Like, this deck is still very good. It's very annoying, and it keeps getting buffed because it's a going second deck. And they keep getting more going second cards. Look at this. Spatial Trunade, new card that came out. They also have Solemn Accusation. I don't know why you're playing that, to be honest. I definitely would not play that shit. And they have, like, Mind Mirror Force that they can play now. They have, like, the Gallant, which technically they can also play. There's lots of Void Breakers that can play. There's a new card that can also, like, quick play negate a lot of cards. If we go Not Released, and then go Quick Play, it is this one, the Ultimate Sky. You can play this. I'm not saying like you should play this in Sky Striker. I'm just saying like that's also another option. And it's a quick play spell as well, so it's gonna fuel your graveyard to make this deck even stronger. And this deck will just, I feel like, never fall off until they actually hit the deck. And I feel like they should. It's not these cards they should hit, it's just the Engage. I think Engage is stupid. Engage should be at 1. It should have never been put to 3. I don't care what anyone says. This card is ridiculous because of the extra draw. If it was only adding Sky Trackers, whatever. But the add, like the draw 1, is stupid. And then the other thing is Horned Drones even being played? Why is Horned Drones not in his deck? It's kind of mad. Yeah, okay. And then, yeah, just this card. If these cards get put to 1, I think the deck would still be good, but it would not be as oppressive as it is now. Because I can still maybe banish this like DD Crow or something, and then they would have to use this, right? Actually, can they even target this? No, they can't. Yeah, this is only in the graveyard. So that would actually really fuck them over. So if this deck ever becomes like very prevalent, you can just play like 1 Crow and then Crow this, and just like, yeah, they're I think fucked. They don't have a way to get this back. But until then, I think this is over here. Probably here, actually. Yeah, this is a very, 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 very good deck. I would even consider putting it here, but I don't think it's better than these two, and I don't think it's super close to the point where I should put it here. Because these decks are obviously like very, very insane. Like, I don't think there's a proper comparison here. Branded, it will always have tier 1 potential. Branded is like one of these decks that will just never fall off. As long as Branded has its cards that are not banned, Branded Fusion at 1, put everything to 1, the deck will always be good. It's always been this way. You can also count this as an engine if you want. If you want to include this, if this to you means Branded Chaos, this would obviously be here. But because it's not Branded Chaos, we're just talking about pure Branded, I would say that this is over here. Now with Branded, I don't really need to explain much as to like why this deck is good. It plays well around a lot of hand traps. If you get forward, it plays very well. It just triggers everything in the end phase. It has three main phases. One of them being in the end phase, and then it can just break boards easily with Albaz. You can contact fuse with Dragon decks. You can do so much with this deck to out everything, and its grind game is super insane. So if you slap this with a deck that can also play it, like Chaos, you double the grind game with Chaos, Branded Chaos, and this just becomes like, how the hell do you outgrind a deck like that? It's just impossible, right? So as long as you can drag someone into a grind game, and this deck can play like Super Volley, can play Dominus Spark, and all of these like very powerful cards. Imagine if this deck could also play Impulse. That would be insane. So this deck will always be tier 1 potential. It will never fall off until they actually ban some branded cards, which I really hope they don't. I love branded, and I think it's one of the most balanced decks that have ever been created, because this deck is not oppressive. They don't put up 10,000 negates. They actually let you play the game. They just outgrind you, and they destroy you with pure skill. This is why I think this deck should always exist as tier 1 potential, and they should never ban these cards, ever. And Fallen Virtus, one of the best designed cards ever, by the way. This is super splashable into every deck. If you're gonna consider Fallen Virtus as like a branded, this would be here, because everyone plays Fallen Virtus. Like, these cards are just super insane, right? But yeah, I hope they never hit this card. This is one of the most balanced cards ever, because everyone can play it. It's very healthy for the game to have a card like this to help go in second, even go in first, like whatever. It's a pop, it gets a send, and it has recursion. Cool. We need more cards like this, instead of having like a card that says, destroy all cards your opponent controls. Your opponent cannot respond. Like, that's not good for the game, right? Especially if they can like go first and use it. But if they have something like this, which is like, you know, it feels like it's fair. It's a fair interruption, even if the opponent goes first and they have it. That's fine. I'm okay with this. So yeah, love branded. Then we have Elf Notes. Elf Notes is obviously here. I think Ars Magna and Elf Notes are one. This is essentially the same thing. If you want to consider Ars Magna as a pure deck, I don't think it works as a pure deck. If you want to count it as Power Patron, it would still be one of the best decks. So I would actually still keep it here, I think, because in a Power Patron deck, you would still play like at least a small Elvenlock package, making it still good. But if we were to compare that deck to Elvenloaks with Ars Magna, I would say Elvenloaks are better. And I've also like tried them out, but obviously with like a bigger deck because I was also playing Chaos. But like these two alone were also just doing enough, and they were just very, very powerful. And it felt like I was super overwhelming the opponent, and even overwhelming myself because of how many plays I had, how many interruptions I had, how much lines I had, combos that I can do. Like the deck was just super unfair. So I think Elvenloaks definitely takes the spots for sure. But I don't think it's better than Toon. This is in the TCG, not OCG. I think when it comes to TCG, it will not be better than Toon's. Toon will still have the spot because, again, Baron. Baron makes a huge difference because if you're able to put up Baron in the first play that you make and check like an interruption, and then you can revive from the grave on the opponent's turn, it makes the deck like 3-5 times better. Just because of that, right? Being able to set up a negate immediately. It checks Guripo. It checks so many things. Then we have Cool Toon. I think Cool Toon will never fall off until they actually start banning cards. The stupid thing that they keep doing is like they keep attempting to like hit the cards, limit them, semi-limit. This will never be effective. It doesn't do anything. I actually think Cool Toon's better than Toons when it comes out if they don't hit anything, because if we go Cool Toon for the TCG, look at this, guys. Nothing has any hits. Are you fucking kidding me? If we look at OCG, at least the Rotary is hit and the KTS is at 2. Even though that's not enough. That's nowhere near enough. But TCG, what the fuck are we doing? The only hit they have is like Synchro Overtake. I don't know what they're waiting on. They literally are printing new decks and they will not sell as long as Cool Toon is the best deck. And it will remain the best deck. This is better than Toons, and it will remain that way, I think. I think Toons will definitely be very good. If it goes first, it wins, obviously. But Cool Toon just destroys all of these other decks, except Chaos. I think Chaos is better in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, like none of these decks stand a chance against Cool Toon. And then I actually put another Phantom Knight here, which is a mistake. I actually did not mean to do this. The only thing I forgot to put in is Chaos. I think it was here, but I just forgot to add it. But let's use this as Chaos. We already know where Dark Magician stands. So Chaos would be... Oh my god, actually would not let me put in first place. That's insane. Fuck off, Cool Toon. Alright. Chaos best deck. Why do I think it's best deck? Because this deck does everything you want it to do in a non-oppressive fashion. Okay, Cool Toon's oppressive. Why is Cool Toon impressive and Chaos not oppressive? Because if you look at Cool Toon has a stupid card called Rotary, which looks at your hand. They have the full knowledge of exactly what you have. On top of this, what they're going to do is they're going to stack your deck with Q. I think it's Q, right? Yeah, Q is going to stack your deck with a brick, and then they know everything in hand. They stack you with a brick, and then they can use their interruptions perfectly to basically win the duel, right? Now, sure, this might require some skill on the opponent's part to be able to use their interruptions correctly to beat your hand when they have hand knowledge versus when they don't. But you have no skill after that because there's nothing that you can do about it. Okay, and this is what makes this deck super toxic and not fun to play against. Chaos does not have that. Chaos does not look at your hand and obviously like Toons are way worse than Cool Toon even. But Chaos does not have that. What does Chaos have? Chaos has unaffected monsters that are super fair because they actually have proper ways to get outed. If you look at these, they say activated effects. So you can out them with cards that are not activated effects, things like Mirror Jade and the end phase nuke and everything. There are also ways where you can force it out, make them spin back with Mind Shuffle, and then you can chain something to destroy the Mind Shuffle itself to stop the tag and tag out. This deck usually ends on 3 interruptions. In a pure deck. If you play it with Branded, this is what makes it good. It's not Chaos that's like super insane by itself. It's actually the fact that you can play it with another insane engine, which is branded. And that makes it so that you have like 6, 7, or even 8 interruptions, even 10 if you play with my deck. And this is what makes the deck insanely powerful. And this, like these unaffected monsters, are insane. People think these cards are just like, you know, meme cards that are bricks. But if I summon Swordman against you, what the fuck are you gonna do about it? Nothing. You're gonna get... that's 2 banishes. If you chain anything, I go Mind Shuffle, spin it back, summon this, banish another card, you chain something, boom, Mind Shuffle, spin back, summon Swordman again, banish 2 more cards. This is insane. It's not oppressive, it's just fucking you over because your deck sucks against this deck, right? There are some like decks that can definitely destroy Mind Shuffle, and puts it in a very bad spot. But by the way, this is post all the support that we're gonna get. So I'm actually not just considering TCG at the moment. I'm actually considering with the new Black Skull Dragon. I'm also considering the like new Curtain, all of these cards. This deck with Curtain, there's no fucking way Kultun is gonna beat that shit. Fuck no. I have played against Kultun a lot with like Dark Magician. Sorry, Chaos with Dark Magician. And it's not the same as Dark Magician Chaos. It's Chaos Dark Magician. So you just play like a small package which is just Curtain, OG Dark Magician, and the Gaze of Mice and Souls. And then you link climb into Oblivion. You just add anything you want. Your end board is ridiculous. You have so many cards in hand. You have so much advantage. You don't need to look at your hand. This is like for losers, okay? Only losers need to look at your hand so that they can make you not play the game. Chaos lets you play the game. You only have like realistically 1 negates, like proper negate with like Dragoon, and everything else is just like pure skill, right? With these cards, and they're basically a grind game deck. So as long as you can keep grinding, this deck will destroy your opponent. It feels a lot like Branded in that sense, which is why I love this deck so much, because I'm also a Branded enjoyer before Chaos even came out, right? So it like definitely speaks out to me. And this deck can also utilize Gallant Thief. And not only Gallant Thief can be used for this deck, but guess what? You can also use Mind Mirror Force. Insane. Now guess what? This card is gonna be insane. It's gonna be in everyone's side. Everyone is gonna get fucking destroyed by Mind Mirror Force. Everyone, except maybe Cool Toon can play around it. Toons will get fucking destroyed. Almost get fucking destroyed by the Mind Mirror Force. Arts Magna destroyed by it. Sky Striker can play around it. Like lots of these decks get destroyed by Mind Mirror Force. Guess who doesn't give 2 shits about Mind Mirror Force? Chaos, because Chaos is unaffected by everything. And guess who's an insane card? Mind Shuffle. Because even while this is negated, I can spin back my cards. I can go, if I go Nibiru, what I can do is I can spin back my card, like Luster Soldier, go Nibiru, nuke your field, and then summon my Luster Soldier. Insane. You can go Harmonia, spin back your hand trap again. You can do so much shit with Mind Shuffle. You can do so much with Chaos. Chaos is splashable pretty much into every deck. If we look at the TCG right now, how is Chaos performing? Chaos Ritual, Chaos Ritual, Chaos Ritual. If you add them up, this is 13.7%. At 6%, this is like 21%, I think. And then you add this, like around 25%. So it's actually the highest out of any other deck, including Kultun. Insane. And you know what's even funnier? It's the fact that everyone's actually playing the same deck that I was playing. People have finally come around to realize this is the best way to play the deck. You play it with Cartesia, and you play Magna Huts, and Harmonia. And once Curtain comes out, people are going to move to Curtain. Like, I am, you know, I have been playing, like, this version of the deck forever. And people have been saying, like, no, this is not the best way to play the deck. Oh, Azamina is better. But this is not true. Like, you can see here, like, people are starting to realize, actually, Azamina is good, but it's not as good as Branded build with the Cartesia lines. Look at this. Yeah. All you have to do is just like watch one of my videos and you'll see how powerful like this version of the deck is, and you will realize that this is the best way to play the deck. And now that people are moving to this, they actually understand why I keep saying Chaos is the best deck in the game. Insane. Look at this. He's also like, he's playing 3 Brave Sword Souls because he's making the play where he goes like what do you call it, like Sword Souls, pop Mind Shuffle, and then add back with the ritual spell the Mind Shuffle. Reveal Farah that you added with this, and then you can't respond to Mind Shuffle. What deck can do that? Yeah, I love Chaos, man. Chaos is just so fucking good. It's so good. Alright, wow. And I think everyone is actually playing this, by the way. Like, if we look at this, not this. If we go Chaos here, this guy got second place. What is he playing? He's also playing the same thing. Cartesia, he's also playing one Celtic. This is actually just my deck, basically, except he's only playing one Ritual Spell and this in main. Aside from this is pretty much the deck that I was playing. I guess this as well. But yeah, these are like some small tech choices, but he's doing the same strategy that I was playing, right? What that means is that, you know, people understand how powerful this deck is, and they're still playing it. It's not just like a one-time thing that they play Chaos when it first comes out, and then they're like, okay, that was cool, but like, we're not going to play that anymore because it's not the best deck, I'm going to go with Cool Tune. No, people are actually committing to this deck because they genuinely believe this is one of the best decks, and look how well they're actually doing with the deck. Top 8, top 3, no, not this. Third, top 8, first place, second place, third. Yeah, this is insane. And then if we go to Mitsurugi, Chaos Ritual, third, first, top 8, mad. Right? And then where's the Azumina one? Azumina, it's the least one at the moment, because like Mitsurugi is performing better, which is actually kind of surprising. Yeah, when was this? This was August 9th, which is actually quite recent. Oh yeah, I remember this guy. This guy was playing the Enchantress stuff. Yeah, that's kind of cool, honestly. But yeah, I would definitely put Chaos as best deck, regardless of what anyone says. I don't care. Now Toons actually don't stand a chance once Mind Mirror Force comes out. Because we have Gallant Thief, we'll have Lava Golem, we will have so many cards that Mind Mirror Force looking at my hand does fuck all. Like, I will still fucking destroy you through that. I've actually been playing a lot more against Toons recently with Chaos, and I haven't lost a single duel against Toons, which is insane. Droll, GG. Gallant Thief, and then you continue playing with your other cards, you win. Mind Mirror Force, blow them out, GG. It's so broken. Like, Chaos is so good in the upcoming metas. Even if you don't play it as a pure deck, or like, you know, a branded Chaos build, you play it with other cards, or like decks, I mean, as an engine, and it's probably the best engine actually ever. Better than Feedsmith, better than Mitsurugi, it's not even close. Yeah. So this is my tier list, and this is what I think I would like rank all of these. I really want this deck to be good because I do like the playstyle of this deck, and I really like Raise Moon. I think these decks are very good, these upcoming decks. And then Asutra also has very good potential. I really like these cards and I want them to be good. Aside from this, let me know what you guys think about like these decks and where you would place them and what you would put like as the best deck, like the sole best deck. I would definitely think you guys would not put Chaos, which is fine. I respect that. But for me, it's 100% Chaos. And you guys will see in the future. Like I said, people used to say Chaos was bad. And then look at this now. I was the only one rooting for Chaos. Well, one of the only people, at least. There are some people who still like believed that this deck was going to be insanely good. So yeah, we'll see. Post like Beyond the Brave and everything, how good this deck will perform. I think with the new what do you call it? The Black Skull Dragon, this is going to be like insane. You just can't stop this deck. You can't. You put up 2 level 7 or higher. Mind Chapel is not a liability anymore. You destroy it, you can't destroy it even. Like, you just spin back twice, GG. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you guys in the next one.